Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel Skinny on Carbs. My name is Andrea, and on this channel I try to use my 20-year background in biology, naturopathic medicine, and histopathology to help you guys live the life you dream of and deserve. Alright, let's get to it. I'm a bit winded in this video because I just finished my rebounding, and the kids haven't noticed that I finished my rebounding. If and when they do, they'll be out to bother me, so I'm gonna try to get through this video before they come around. Okay, so this video is for one of my lovely subscribers who watched my last video where I was speaking about making your mitochondria happy, and she really wanted me to dive deeper into that because that's a key portion to overall health and losing weight. Okay, so let's talk about making your mitochondria happy. Well, there are really three. That's a very deep dive, just so you guys know, but I am going to try to distill it down into three main areas. Okay, one is light, the second is going to be the type of nourishment that it needs, and the third is going to be movement. Okay, and I'm going to dive deeper into all three of these categories. So your mitochondria is very deeply tied to rhythms, okay? And now we're talking about light. We're hitting the first topic. It's very deeply tied to rhythms. So it's very important. And just so you guys know, the first food for your mitochondria is not what you eat in terms of in your mouth. It's light, okay? Light is very important to the mitochondria. So it's deeply tied to rhythm. It directly eats light. All right, that is I can't overstate that. Your mitochondria directly eats light. It is tied to the rhythm of light. So it's very important, if you want to get your mitochondria happy, to get your light hygiene in check. So what do I mean by your light hygiene? Okay, so light is not just visible. I'm not just talking about visible light. I'm talking about the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, so basically what I'm saying to you is we are primarily surrounded by non-native EMFs, electromagnetic fields, which means man-made electromagnetic fields. So where is that coming from? Well, it's coming from the electrogrid, it's coming from the Wi-Fi signals, it's coming from the smart meters, okay, it's coming from the electricity in your home. So we are bombarded and surrounded by these EMFs, which directly affects the way your cells pulse. Okay, so what you have to do to correct that is you have to, the best you can, try to re-immerse yourself into the natural lights. Okay, and the natural light is given off by the sun. Okay, so that's the visible light that comes from the sun. There's also other non-visible light that comes from the sun that is affecting your mitochondria. But basically what I'm trying to say is you have to find a way to to sort of get your light hygiene together. So what does that look like for me personally? Okay, for one, I like to keep my windows open as much as possible. Why? Because the windows filter out all the other colors of light, and it filters in primarily blue light, which is directly harmful to your mitochondria, just so you guys know. What else? So I like to keep my windows open as much as humanly possible. I also spend a lot of my time outdoor. Okay, you guys always see me making videos either in my garage with the door open or while I'm walking on my walk. Okay, so I like to spend as much time outdoors as possible. Now, how am I able to do this and not get sunburned? Yes, I'm black. I get that. I understand that, but you can do it too. I have a lot of Caucasian friends that eat similarly, and they don't have to worry about being sunburned because they understand light hygiene. So what are you going to do? What you do is you try to get in as much time in the sun in the early morning hours. So in the first 2 hours of the morning, the red light is very pronounced, okay? And that red light directly speaks to your mitochondria. It also speaks to the other cells, and it tells you, it the system as a whole, it tells your system to get ready for more exposure to sunlight. So if you want to be able to handle those UVs later on in the day, it's best to get some early morning sunlight in order to prep your body for the UV that's going to come in later on. Now, you don't have to bake in the UV, but you do need some UV, okay, because you need to get your vitamin D up. Vitamin D is also very important for weight loss and for mitochondrial function. They go hand in hand. So you need to get appropriate light exposure for your skin type. So I would ideally say to get 20 minutes in the morning, get a few minutes, as much as you can handle in the afternoon. Don't burn yourself. And also get some in the amber light or the night or the evening setting, okay? Because red light is going to be up as well. And it's going to signal your body to switch the melatonin, serotonin production so that you can go to sleep a lot better and easier. When you do this over time, what's going to happen is your body is going to recalibrate itself to those rhythms. And so basically what's going to happen is you're going to sleep a lot better. You're not going to have to sort of coax yourself to sleep by giving yourself a lot of those food calories at night, because that's what a lot of people do. They can't sleep, and so what they do is they try to put themselves into digestive comas, and so they give themselves a lot of hard digesting foods at night. So things like rice, other starches. A lot of people on the high carb, low fat diet, they will do that. They will put a lot of their calories in at night in order to coax themselves to sleep. But you don't need to do that. What you're gonna do, or what I do, is I utilize the light in order to balance my circadian rhythm, in order to get my body back onto the circadian rhythms, okay? So light is important in keeping your mitochondria happy. It's directly tied to it, and it eats light directly. It ingests it. It is powered on by light. That's free electrons for your mitochondria. That makes your mitochondria happy. Free electrons, okay? That light energy. Light directly powers on your red light specifically, directly powers on your mitochondria. So make sure, somebody was trying to call me, make sure you're getting in as much sunlight as you can. Even if you're in a part of the world where you can't see the sun, it doesn't matter. The light is still coming through. Get that light in. Don't worry about it. Just go out and expose yourself. No matter what the weather, just go out and expose yourself. All right, so that's one way to make your mitochondria happy. The second way you're going to make your mitochondria happy is by the nourishment that you give it. So what am I referring to? I'm referring to your fruits and your vegetables, okay? Basically, let's just get straight to it. Carbs is going to be the foundation. You're going to primarily give your mitochondria the carbs that it needs in the simple formats, in the easily available formats, aka glucose, fructose, and then your sucrose is going to digest into fructose and glucose, okay? So you're going to give your body the glucose and the fructose that it needs to power on, okay? In addition to that, because we're not just eating crystallized sugar, we're sourcing our sugars from the package itself, from the whole package. So what's also important for your mitochondria are the covitamins, the cofactors, the coenzymes. All your B vitamins is very important for that cycle to run. It's very important for your mitochondria. You need, like, for instance, you need B3 as a precursor to producing NAD, which is very important to your mitochondria. So the vitamins are vitamins and minerals. You need magnesium, you need sodium, you need potassium, you need iron, you need a lot of things in order to, a lot of these vitamins, minerals, micronutrients, you need a lot of those, in the right amounts to keep your mitochondria happy. So if you're just giving your mitochondria fructose and glucose, that's not enough. It's not enough, okay? Because it needs other things along that chain to make it work. So if you eat your glucose and your fructose in the context of a whole food and a whole fruit, you're going to help your mitochondria out tremendously, okay? You're going to give it the precursors that it needs to make the things that it needs to make the mitochondria go. In addition to that, you also need to give the mitochondria things that's going to help it to detox all those metabolites that it produced when it was creating the energy, right? So I said before in other videos that calories come at a cost, okay? And that cost is the reactive oxygen species that you make. Now, reactive oxygen species is not an inherently evil thing. You need some of it to signal other pathways. However, it becomes a stressor on the cell if it is if it exceeds the levels of antioxidants that you've got going in there. So you need a balance in your oxidative redox sort of pathways. So when you eat the whole food or the whole fruit, you're also going to give yourself the precursors that you need, because some of these antioxidants are made cellularly, right? So you're going to give yourself the precursors that you need to make those things, and you're also going to be directly eating some of those antioxidants that's going to help to offset the potential oxidative stress that can happen intracellularly. All right, so that's very important. So that's something else that's going to make your mitochondria happy. So let's review. The first one is you got to get your light hygiene together. That's the first thing. I know people are expecting me to say carbs and food, but that's not the first thing. The first thing is to, as much as you can, get your light hygiene down, okay? It's going to be getting as much sunlight as you can at the appropriate times. Don't just go running out into midday sun if you haven't exposed yourself to morning sun, because remember I said you got to set your system up to handle those UVs. And you have to give your body the information that it needs to know what time of day it is. Don't just go running out into midday sun if you've not been outside, okay? Also, you need to take in as much sun as is appropriate for your skin type. Start slowly and build up. You can build up a callus, okay? It takes time. Also, if you're feeding your mitochondria the appropriate foods, the foods that I'm telling you to eat, which are the fruits and the veggies, not only are you giving your mitochondria the appropriate energy source, the appropriate vitamins, coenzymes, co-minerals, and precursors to making its own antioxidants, but you're also taking in a ton of pigments, okay? You're taking in a ton of pigments, and those pigments lodge in the skin. And that's going to help you to handle the light as well. So you see there's a feedback loop there, right? So now those pigments are going to give you an increased ability to handle more sunlight. It's going to help you to build up your sunlight callus. And so you'll be able to handle more sunlight. There are well-studied pigments in food, lycopene, for example, which directly helps you to handle sunlight and mitigate DNA damage. So, and there's a ton of those things, anthocyanins, all the pigmented foods, get them in, resveratrol, get those things in, they help you. Beta carotene or all the carotenoids, those things lodge under the skin as well. So you need to get in those things. I mean, there are people that give themselves tans by just drinking carrot juice because the pigments stay under the skin, and those pigments are going to help you greatly handle the sun, okay? So those two things. Let's get to the third thing. The third thing that I'm going to say is movement. Movement is going to make your mitochondria very, very happy. So why am I saying movement is going to make your mitochondria happy? Movement is going to make your mitochondria happy because it's going to feed back into the second part of the second point I was making in terms of the foods that you eat. So remember, if your mitochondrial the metabolic process, remember I told you that it's going to produce waste, metabolic waste, okay? And so some of it is good because it triggers other pathways, and some of it you need to handle because it's going to create oxidative stress on the cell, and it's going to create intracellular damage to the organelles and to the DNA, and that's what aging is. So you need to offset it with taking in whole foods. Also, what offsets that is by moving your lymphatic system, because a lot of that metabolic waste is being pumped out of the cell as well, okay? And that's being pumped into your interstitial space, the interstitial fluid. It's the fluid that surrounds your cells. you need to move that fluid, because if you don't move that fluid and you let the waste accumulate there, it's going to become acidic, and that acidity is also going to create stress on the cells, and it's going to help to damage the cell and mutate the cell, aka aging. Okay, and usually that progresses into disease, okay, disease states. So you need to move your lymph in order to keep the cells nice and happy, and ergo keep your mitochondria happy. So the way that you move your interstitial fluid is by moving your lymph, because your interstitial fluid feeds into your lymphatic system. And that is the primary garbage disposal system, fluid system of the body. Okay, you have a fluid system that feeds the cells, feeds the mitochondria. So the sugars and the vitamins and the minerals that you take in via your food, it gets into the bloodstream and it feeds your cells, and that's how it gets to the mitochondria. Okay, but how is the waste taken out? The waste is taken out. The stuff that's not handled by the antioxidants, that stuff is taken out by the garbage disposal system, which is your lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is 80% of it is directly under your skin. It doesn't take heavy movement. It doesn't take heavy lifting of weights or dramatic movements in order to move your lymphatic system. It's so easy. It's just a light touch, and I am moving my lymph. Just by lightly touching my skin, I am moving my lymph. And remember, I told you most of your lymphatic system is located directly under the skin. So it doesn't take much. So what are some things that you can do to directly move your lymphatic system? One is the foods that you're going to eat, which is what I'm telling you to eat, which are the fruits and the vegetables, because that maintains a level of astringency in the body, which helps to move the lymphatic system. The second thing is you're going to move lightly. You don't have to move heavily. So walking, rebounding, what else? Dry brushing. You can take up dry brushing, and you'll see something else. Another added benefit that you're going to notice when you keep your lymphatic system moving is your skin. Your skin is going to shine, okay? Your skin is going to shine. And it also is going to help you with point number 1, which is handling sunlight, because you are moving the lymphatic system. You're moving the acidic waste. You're moving that around. You're keeping your skin healthy. If your lymphatic system is clogged up, it's not moving and it's pooling under the skin, now it's damaging your skin. And now you can't handle the sunlight that you're trying to take in, okay? So it all ties together. Everything ties together as a whole. So moving your lymphatic system is also going to make your mitochondria happy. So again, let's review. I tried to make this quick, but I'm long-winded. I try to explain as much as I can in the most simple way that I can, because I want this information to be easily accessible to everyone, and I don't want you to overthink it, okay? Because it is really very simple if you maintain certain basics. So let's review. 1 is going to be light hygiene, okay? Go out as early as you possibly can in the early morning sun for the first 2 hours to get as much red light as you possibly can, because red light is very dense in the early mornings, and you want to get that red light in, because the red light is going to speak to the system as a whole, and it's going to tell your body how to get ready, how to get up. And it also provides free electrons. No calories needed, free electrons to your mitochondria. It makes your mitochondria very happy. It also helps you to sync your circadian rhythms, okay? So that is something else that makes your mitochondria happy. You're going to try to, as much as you can, we all live on this planet, so you can't get away from non-native EMFs, but you can try to mitigate it as much as possible. Don't keep your cell phone on you. Open your windows as much as you possibly can. Turn on blue light filters on your phone and on your other devices. Take walks as much as you can in fresh sunlight. I like to work out outside because it does something different for you. Take walks, do things like this. This is going to get you the light exposure, and you're going to build up your callus. You're not going to overdo it. You're going to take it gently, and this takes time and patience, okay? It takes time and patience. So for everyone that's looking for that 1 pound a day, 2 pounds a day weight loss, no, this is not the channel for that. I'm trying to get you grounded in reality, okay? I'm trying to get you grounded in reality, because that's the happy place. When you're grounded, trust me, you're happy. Go outside barefoot as well. That's more free electrons from the earth. You can look into these things. If you think they're woo, they're not. There's plenty of studies done on this. I mean, plenty. NASA has done so many studies when it comes to light. They needed to understand this, because they sent people into space, right? So they needed to understand how we interact very intimately with the frequencies, Schumann frequencies, all of it. You need to get your light hygiene in check. Minimize blue light as much as possible, because blue light does not come isolated in nature. It always comes with red light. So natural sunlight is going to be your best friend, okay? Unfiltered, not with sunblock on. So you don't need sunscreen, you don't need sunblock unless you're going to be out for exorbitant amounts of time. And then, I don't know, try to use I don't do sunscreen, so I can't really advise about that. I wouldn't use chemical sunscreens though. So I mean, that I wouldn't use, because that's going to alter how the light how you absorb the light, and it's going to alter the chemistry of the light under the skin once it's absorbed. Okay, so light hygiene. 2, give yourself certain nourishment. Nourish yourself with foods that are going to feed the mitochondria the glucose and the fructose that it needs, the cofactors, the coenzymes, the vitamins, the minerals. B vitamins are important, magnesium, sodium, potassium. You get these things in abundance, and water, and you get these things in abundance in your fruits and your veggies. So eat those in abundance. Eat them in abundance, okay? Number 3 is you need to move the waste away from the mitochondria. Get the waste out of the system. So that you're going to move your lymphatic system. Okay, so gentle movements, walking, rebounding, dry brushing, that will get the job done. I'm going to give you guys a bonus. I know that I'm going on for forever, but I'm going to give you guys another bonus in this video, okay? And it's going to tie into moving the lymphatic system. So, and this is something that Cole, the guy that really put sugar dieting or sugar fasting on the map, was Cole Robinson. And I think yesterday he was talking about salt, the intake of salt. And people are getting confused, because he's saying salt is king, and people are getting confused. But you don't have to be confused. His information is still solid, okay? And this is why I'm saying it's solid. This goes back to the last point that I'm making about moving the lymphatic system. So when you move the lymphatic, I'm going to try to tie it all in for you guys, okay? So salt, I'm going to say not salt, or minerals, is very important to your adrenals, okay? It's very important to your adrenals. Sodium, he says salt, but I'm saying to you, it's not really sodium chloride. It's sodium, potassium, magnesium. This is what he's calling salt. But these things are important to your adrenals. And the reason why you need to pay attention to your adrenals is because your adrenals sit on top of the kidneys, and it rules the kidneys. And you need your kidneys to be functioning optimally if you want to be able to not only, because when you move your lymphatic system, there's something has to drain it, something has to clean it. That's the job of your kidneys. So if your kidneys are not optimally functioning, then moving your lymphatic system is not going to really mean anything to you, because you're not clearing out your lymphatic system via the filtration of the kidneys. The kidneys is what's going to filter your lymphatic system. So the kidneys filters all the fluids in your body. So you need to have optimally functioning kidneys. And in order to have optimally functioning kidneys, you've got to touch on those adrenals. You've got to make the adrenals happy. The way you make the adrenals happy is twofold. 1, you need to give it plenty of sugars, glucose, fructose. All right. You tell your kidneys that it doesn't have to be stressed out when you give it the proper fuel, which is the glucose and the fructose. That's number 1. Number 2 is it's got to be able to sense mineral availability. So mineral availability looks like your vegetable kingdom, your green kingdom, sodium, potassium, magnesium. These are the things that your body, that your adrenals need to detect to figure out how it's going to filter out things and how it's going to balance your electrolytes. Okay, so it's another reason why I was saying that this idea of just going on crystallized sugar and candies does not make much sense, because you need so many other things in order to optimize your weight loss and to keep it sustainable. You have to be able to sustain it. What sense does it make to lose all this weight just to turn around and gain it back the minute you put a piece of broccoli in your mouth? Like, you don't want to have to do that. You don't want to have to deal with that. You want to be able to signal your body that it's okay. It has everything it needs. Weight loss is loving. You have to calm the body down in order to lose weight. If you stress the body out, it does not want to lose weight. And if you don't take in enough minerals, by default, you are stressing the body out. If you don't take in enough salts, the way, this is what Cole is trying to say. If you're not taking in enough salts, that is a signal of stress to the adrenals. You're triggering a stress response, okay? And so you're not going to lose weight as nicely as you want to. And even if you do, it's going to be a ton of water weight, and it's all going to come back the minute you put minerals in your body, because it's going to hold on to that sucker, okay? So Cole's way of getting around this is to give you guys actual crystallized salt. And again, I'm going to say, this is where we kind of differ, and this is why he was saying, if the vegans would include salt, we ignore the salt and we say not to take in salt. We say it for a reason. And if you guys look back on my channel, I was one of the first people that said to you guys that it's not a good idea to do the candies and the soda pops and whatnot, because you're throwing your sodium and potassium ratio off. And so what it looks like is it looks like you are low on sodium, but you're not low on sodium. What's happening is you're not taking in enough potassium. Your potassium has to be way higher than your sodium. Your potassium to sodium ratio, your potassium needs to be higher. I mean, in the magnitudes of sometimes 20 times higher. It needs to be higher in order to keep the cellular functions going, okay? You have an electrochemical gradient that runs along the cell membrane that is directly tied to sodium and potassium. Your potassium needs to be higher, and your body will do whatever it takes to keep the potassium sodium ratios at a certain level. And so if your potassium is too low, your body is going to dump sodium in order to keep the ratio balanced. You see what I'm saying? And so now it looks like, or it presents like, you have too little sodium, when really your initial problem was you weren't taking in enough potassium. So the way that you offset this is, and I also said in that video, this was a while back, I said this, I put this video, if I can find it, I'll put the link. But I said to you guys that it takes years to level out your aldosterone once you get the sodium, once you take away those exogenous salts, right? The table salts. So it's not really that you need sodium, it's that you need the potassium. But you can't ignore the sodium, because what your body's going to do is it's going to keep dumping the sodium. It's going to keep dumping the sodium, because it takes a while for your aldosterone to catch up, to figure out what's going on. So in the meantime and between time, yes, you have to take in some sodium to offset the dumping of the sodium that you are going through, because you weren't taking in enough potassium to keep your potassium sodium levels in check. Right? So what you're going to do is you're going to take in the potassium via the fruits. Fruits are very high in potassium. All the foods in general tend to have a higher, because this is what you need, it tends to have a higher potassium versus sodium. This is correct. This is what you want. You offset that. You throw that off when you take in table salt. You throw off the ratio. And so your body has to throw off the sodium. And essentially, when your body throws off sodium, other things go too, because sodium does not go by itself. Sodium takes other things with it. And so this is what you're seeing, and you're interpreting this as you have too little sodium. And the real problem is you're taking in too much sodium in comparison to your potassium. So you need to eat the fruits and vegetables, eat Eat fruits. Just eat your fruits. You'll get the potassium. And then you offset the sodium dumping, that's going to take a while, by taking in greens. Celery. I recommended this like over a month ago. Celery juice. Take in celery juice. The reason I'm saying to take in greens and celery is because you don't want to overshoot the sodium past the potassium, or else the problem will continue. It will always exist. It takes time to correct that. So you have to take in your sodium via organic means. And when I say organic, I don't mean like agriculturally organic. I mean chemically organic. In chemistry, when we say organic, we mean something that's carbon based. So you want to take in your sodium, which is bound to a carbon based molecule. So you want to take in carbon bound sodium. You want to take in, that's how you want to take in all your minerals, to be honest with you. You really don't want to take in inorganic minerals, aka sodium chloride, magnesium chloride. This is not optimal. You can handle it, your body's going to utilize it, but the electron spin on those minerals is different to the carbon based or the organic based minerals. So this is why in the vegan world we don't recommend taking in the table salts. We always recommend to take in your salt organically. So via your celery, your tomato juice, your greens. This, and now I'm going to circle back. This keeps your adrenals happy. This keeps your adrenals happy. And so by keeping your adrenals happy, you keep your kidneys happy. When you keep your kidneys happy, now you can filter your lymphatic system. If you are filtering your lymphatic system correctly, that backs up and it keeps your mitochondria happy. Because remember we said in point number 3 is you got to keep your mitochondria happy by moving the lymphatic system, moving the acid waste out of there, moving the metabolites or the metabolic waste out of the interstitial space. Okay, I hope that was deep enough for you. I try to go as deep as I possibly can without confusing everyone. I hope you guys have a lovely day, okay? And I hope that helps someone. Bye, you guys.